Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. I am going to do a swipe video back to what I love to do the most with my creative swiping technique and my squeeze bottles. So I've got my squeeze bottles lined up and I've got all DecoArt colors: Dioxazine Purple, Purple Rain, this is True Blue, this is Sea Breeze, this little bottle here is Laguna, this green, Festive Green, and Sour Apple. Those are usually my go-to colors. And this one, this one is Vintage Brass, which is a gorgeous shimmery brassy gold, but I love it. And so that's in this squeeze bottle. It has a little different opening, which is a little harder to control, so we'll see how that goes. But those are my colors that I'm using. Get those out of the way. And I'm going to base coat. Okay, and those are all mixed 1:1 ratio with Owatrol, latex based. 1:1. No water added. You don't need to add water with the bottle paints. I did add water with the metallic color because metallics are usually thicker. And then I use a drop of treadmill lubricant per ounce of paint mixture. So if I have 8 ounces of paint mixture in my bottle, I have 8 drops of silicone in my bottle. These bottles store indefinitely, so you don't have to worry about if you pre-mix them, put them in. You can keep adding paint to them, keep them indefinitely with the silicone in them. So I'm trying to look and see if everything is focused. I think it is. I'm going to base coat my canvas first. And I'm going to do a little bit different kind of swipe. So we're hoping that this works out. I've got some white that's pre-mixed. 1:1 with Owatrol. So I'm just going to put a light coat on. So I have a light coat of the white. My swiping color is going to be the Dioxazine Purple against the other colors. So they all have silicone in them and it doesn't really matter. They're going to produce smaller cells because they are in squeeze bottles and they've been shaken and paint has been added to it. So I'm not going to get giant cells. I'm going to get smaller cells with lacing, which is what I desire. And like I said, I'm going to be swiping with the purple because it's the darkest color I have. And you want a lot of contrast when you do swipes between the swiping color and what's underneath it, just to get the best results. Typically I swipe with black or white, but you don't have to swipe with black or white. So I wanted to show you that, and you can do it with silicone in your paint. So I wanted to show you that as well. So I'm just taking my extra white paint that is on my Wilton icing fondant spreader tool, and that is also in my Amazon link below all my videos. And just trying to make sure I have a fairly even coat. I'm missing just a little bit right there. So it does not have to be perfectly level. It will self-level all on its own as time goes by. You can drop your canvas a few times and that will help things level out a little bit. I do see a few more spots that are lower on the white. I don't want any of the canvas peeking through, but I don't want like a super thick coat of white either. So I'm trying to reach that happy medium. And so just lightly skimming it. Just just don't want to see the canvas peeking through, but it does not have to be super thick. Okay, and I got one little area right there. But basically, my design is going to fairly cover the surface, and I don't know what this is going to look like. But for some reason, I felt like I wanted to do a swipe in a circular fashion. So I drew out my little pre-planned sketch on a piece of Post-it note. I also had one where it was a little bit more random, and I thought about doing that. And I'm still thinking about it. I just don't know. So also too, if you want to do a swipe to see what the effect is going to look like, I just did it on a piece of cardboard. And I'm going to use a credit card, old credit card, store card, for swiping, because I can have a very controlled swipe with it. So that's what I did, is I just did a preliminary one to make sure I had my colors the way I wanted them and in the right lineup, which I'm pretty sure I do. So I just have to figure out which design I'm going to do. So I don't know, maybe I'll do the more random one that's not totally circular. So I'm going to just go ahead and sketch it out with my paint. I'm only going to do a section at a time though, because you don't want your paint just drifting and drifting and drifting. So you have to line up your colors in the same order every time. My white is a little bit fluid, and that's why the paint spreads out like it is. And the other thing that people sometimes, I've noticed in classes when I've been teaching people with squeeze bottles, is they want to drag their tip of their nozzle through the paint, and you don't want to do that because it will contaminate the color with the other colors you drag it through, and you don't want to contaminate your color that's in your bottle. You want to keep it nice and clean. I'm lining them up, but I'm also kind of layering one on top of the other a bit. So just to clarify that a little bit. I wanted to keep it in the purple to blue to green tones, because I love these colors together. And then I wanted one metallic paint just for a little shimmer. So the key with this kind of a bottle is to kind of go fast in order to not have it really come out in big chunks. And that's why I don't use the dollar store bottles. I have some in this bottle, but the opening is very wide at the top and a lot of paint comes out, and that's why I love these icing bottles, which are in my Amazon link, because you can control the amount of paint that comes out so much better than you can with the cheaper bottles. So I want to swipe the purple over the other colors. So I don't want to grab the white, I want to grab the deep purple, and there we go. And I have to wipe off my card every time to make sure it's clean. And I want it very wispy. So I really kind of lighten up at the very end of my stroke. And I have people next door at the art council, and the talking comes through the walls, so if you can hear that, I'm sorry. That one I didn't grab quite enough, so I'm going to go back and redo it just a little bit. Then if you like, it's just easier for me to go out in a certain direction. I'm also dripping a lot, so I've got to watch that. But like I said, cleaning the card every time I swipe. I just love these color combinations. And I'm using a very light touch. I'm going to take my card and just kind of drag that purple around a bit. And I got drips here and there. And what I'll do is I'll come back over it with some white at the end, but I'm going to be adding more swirls. But I can just kind of quickly drop a little white here and there and cover the main areas that I dripped on. And like here where I've got a little bit of bleeding going on, so that helps with that. Okay, so now make sure my card is clean. Now I'm going to do another line, and I'm going to have it come, and I'm actually going to go back and add in a little purple where the purple disconnected a bit. Not a bunch, but just a bit, because I want it to have a definite structure to it. So now I'm going to go this way and go off the canvas and come back in. And then I'm going to go along the outside, just like I did with the other. And I skipped a little area here. I'm going to make sure it's connected there. So like I said, I'm only doing a section at a time so that I can kind of keep control of it not bleeding out too terribly bad. So this is going to be coming this way. So yeah. I pressed down a little too hard right there. And take that And I can also bring this over the edge a bit, which kind of continues the effect a little bit. Then I continue. Sometimes it's easier for me to hold my card a certain direction. I have a little bit more control. I'm trying not to overlap too much. So always turn it where you have the most control. And I'm going to use my little palette knife for this part here. Go back and add just a hint of purple to connect these. Lift a little of that out there. And of course I got my drips. So I'm just trying to use a clean finger. Make sure my card is clean. But I've got some dirty areas here where I dripped. And I'll go back and add some clean white. And I'll take care of, let's see, I'll do this area here because I'm not going to have anything else added here. So if there's a little bleeding out, that's okay too. Alright, so my next curl will come up and around. And again, it'll be on the outside. Okay, so now, and then this will meet up with the other, but I'm not going to overlap it much. I'm just going to barely get it close to it. I just love these colors though. And I continue to turn my canvas to make it accessible for my right hand, which is how I'm swiping with it. Okay, and then here I'm going to use my palette knife so I can control it down to a smaller swipe. So that's pretty good. And some of this is bleeding out. If it dries, I can come back and add white paint to uncover that up. So now, let's see, I'm going to see if I can make this line a little stronger. This is going to have one little loop that goes this way and just a little bit that comes in. So I'll try to do that really quickly on the outside of the loop. Like I said, with this icing bottle, you have more control, and so you have control to not squeeze out a ton of paint. You want kind of a thinner line as well. I squeezed and dripped at the same time. So I'm going to turn this so I have more control. Now, this part here, and I'll finish up the design. Change to a clean paper towel because I want my card to be clean every time I swipe. And see, I can't do it upside down. I have to do it where I can hold my card the way I'm used to holding it. And I'm going to use the palette knife. For that. And I pushed too hard there, so I just go and fill that back in with a little bit of purple. This way it can kind of go any direction you want it to. I'm going to remove that bit there. Put a little white paint back. The cool part about swipes like this are that they dry much quicker than a regular acrylic pour, because it's just a very thin layer of paint that you're adding to the canvas. So it goes very quickly as far as the painting and as far as the drying time. And I'm just wiping off a colored fingerprint. And I'm just putting white back. So I was going to do a spiral, which I think would have been pretty, but I decided to just go ahead and do this kind of scrolly thing to see how it turned out, and I'm pretty pleased with it. Just trying to think about I want to add anything else or not. I could add some little blossoms or something, but I think I'm just going to leave it be. Maybe I'll finish out these ends just a little bit better, and just a couple of areas. So I'm just putting very little paint on the canvas. Okay, and I'm going to use my palette knife. A little much green there. So I'm going to basically turn it to where it's comfortable for me. And like I said, this will level itself out, so I don't need to worry about that either. And some of the color is dripped over the edge, and that's totally fine. I'm even going to add a little paint. But the beauty of this is I have no drips on my table because it's all contained on top of the surface of the painting, which is really nice. So it's not a real messy painting. You just have to keep your tools wiped off. And you can even, you know, save your scrapes and put them onto a piece of photo paper or something, and have some beautiful paint skins left over. I often do that. This is, you know, these are colors that have sat in bottles for quite a while, so it stays for a long time. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I'm going to bring this up so you can see. So that's the up close. Check out all the links below the video, and if there's anything you see, just go and click on the link and it'll take you to my Amazon products and Patreon, PayPal, all the links that are below, my Facebook group. Come join me, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.